raise your hand, just holler out at us. We will be monitoring the chat there. So if you want to use that feature, you are more than welcome to put a question in there. We would really want to make sure that we're addressing anything that you're curious about that's kind of going on there. Looks like we got about 90 or so people with us today. So again, all across the state, appreciate you joining us. We are recording today, as Jess is putting the notes there. This is, again, by policy. We are just using this as a training mechanism. This is something that will be available for anyone to come back and look at, and they can review. We have several who might be in spring meetings today, and so again, allowing everyone to hear the things that we're discussing. So just be aware that we will be recording that. So we have a pretty good agenda for today's discussions. We have several things that we're wanting to go through today, and so with that, let me bring that up here. We're going to talk a little bit about some things we're doing on the availability of our superintendents and documenting MMS, just a little bit on that. I want to bring up an item that was suggested probably about 2 months ago by a supervisor, I think, down in the Southwest District on documenting dead animals. Talk a little bit about on safety observations and near misses. The ability of checking so it's anonymous. We've done some things there to make that hopefully a little clearer. The ladder license leave training, as many of you maybe went through the spring meetings already, that highlights, again, how you can go to see train records, but we want to highlight how supervisors can see their training hours. So Tommy's going to be presenting on that a little bit. A couple of different things just about documenting we want to talk about. Just, again, keeping those good practices of picking locations, different activities that we have going on. We just want to kind of go through those and, again, just do a reminder to try to help just all of us be on the same page, and to understand if there's just some things not working well for you all. There's some new Power BIs that we have kind of created that's allow us to look at some historical information for about 10 years worth. That's kind of interesting to just see where our labor hours are placed at. And we're going to talk a little bit about some new things coming up. So somewhere probably about about 8:40, I'm going to have Evan join us. He's actually on his way to Kansas City today, so he's going to pull off and kind of help us with a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about some modifications we're making to assigning work. And kind of give you Chris Engelbrecht wanted to be with us, but he's tied up also today in spring meetings. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then want to give, at the very end, we're going to give you a little bit of an awareness of how we are redoing documenting equipment. So those have been with us last several months. We are rebuilding all of documenting work, and we've highlighted some things for review and submit. We've highlighted some things on the documenting labor page. And we have a couple of things now on documenting equipment that we'd like to highlight. We still believe these will be late fall. We've got a lot of things still to kind of get in order before they'll be in production, but we'd like to run some stuff past you. So with that being said, I'll go back to just our superintendents. So we've had a handful of superintendents who've been asked and are currently documenting in MMS their daily work. A couple of their reasons is just, it's the system. You guys, the supervisors, crew leaders, you're in there all the time, and they kind of get disconnected a little bit sometimes. So they found value in doing that, and so we have that available. So any superintendents that might be on the call, if you feel like, hey, I think I'd rather do that, it really is pretty simple, pretty simplistic process, but we've got that pretty clean at this point, and so offer that up to anyone that would like to take that on. And before I turn this over to Jess is going to highlight the new feature we have with dead animals. But before we go there, please, if there's something that our team can do, that we can come to your building, we can spend some time with you, please let us know. I mean, our intention is for everyone to always know and have as best tools as possible. And we just want to make sure we're always available. And we put that out there, please. Let us come if there's anything we do to help. So with that, Jess, I'm going to let you highlight our new functionality with dead animals.
All right, thanks, Michael. Share my screen here with you guys. You see I'm on the labor page right now when I'm using Randall as my example. So the big change is that now SL1 users have the ability to document work as a leader for dead animal pickup. The activity code is R31D. So if you guys are out on the road and have to stop and pick up a dead animal, you'll be able to have the ability to document it yourself. So right now you can see Randall was assigned today for litter pickup, but let's say he stopped and picked up a dead animal. Right now, when you're in your labor page right here, you would just go to add activity and then go to roadsides. And right here, you'll pick the dead animal pickup, hit select. And as you can see right here, it allowed you to add that activity yourself without having to have a supervisor do it because you are a leader of that. So you would just want to put how many hours you did for the dead animal pickup, and then it'll change down here. So let's say you did 2 hours. And then we'll have to adjust then your litter pickup to say we did 6 for that. And make sure all of these are 0, and then you should be good to hit next on that. And then it'll take you through your equipment for both of your activities, but right here you'll see that it'll say dead animal pickup. So if you used equipment or any materials for that, that's where you would document that. So I'll go back to the labor page just to show you guys one more time. You just add the activity, pick it, it shows that you are the leader, and then just adjust your times right there and make sure that it's all zeros across here, and then you should be good to go. So that's a nice ability for you guys to now have, so you can just do it on your own instead of having to have a supervisor do that. So that's the new change for SL1 users.
Thank you,
There,
Jess. So again, that came out of one of our supervisors asking about that ability, just kind of on the fly there, and it helps support some of our visual activities. So you guys, I think the majority of you have been hearing a lot of these discussions about the efforts we're just making in some things that would be outside roadway, and this particularly, you'll see we're looking at signing. And we're looking at pothole patching, sweeping, dead animals, and litter pickup. And so about every 2 weeks, these are coming out. There's a pretty good amount of work being done here, but as you notice, we're really, it's that time of year start doing many of our other things. Our striping crews are very active out there right now. We've got crews out there laying chip seals and finishing up with our bridge flushing and getting ready to start laying mix, and some, getting ready to start mowing. So how this all fits into it, these visual activities were again try to give us a way to just see the level of effort we're placing here and what that looks like, and just again, no idea is too small. I mean, we just sometimes don't know those things that would just make it a little bit easier for everybody. So awesome job. Thank you for speaking up there. All right.
and
Michael, there's a
Michael,
question in the chat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a question from Norman in the chat. It says, if multiple employees select that without communication between them, are they all going to be a leader?
That's exactly right, Norman. So if you did not assign it as an activity, and again, this is more them needing to just kind of address something in the middle of the day, right? All of you know the benefit of assigning work, make a crew. That's what they're going out and doing today. But you've sent your group out to take care of some signs or fill some potholes or something like that. But in the process, they went and took care of some dead animals. This way they can just easily pick that up. You're not left with having to come back and add the location in for that. So that's where that's coming from, Norman. All right.
Good.
Thank you.
So good morning, this is Tommy. I've got the next couple of items on the agenda. One of the things is in the safety observation page. So I'm going to navigate from there, going to go through safety management, and then we'll go to observations. And so what we did here on the observation page and the near miss page is we kind of we moved the verbiage around about being able to submit an observation or near miss anonymously. So one of the questions that we always get, and our district safety and health staff get as well, is hey, I'm entering these observations, but I'm not getting credit for them on the safety dashboard. Well, it is because the box was getting checked. And currently the box is down here below the submit button. And we're not sure that's just not getting checked, as it's just thought of as part of the process. I go through here, I check the box. So what we did was we moved the box to the top of the page, and then we added some specific language here that says note, bold letters, org will not get credit on the safety dashboard if checked. So that's always been the rule for this. Nothing's changed about this. It's just we are repositioning this to the top of the page, and we've changed the language a little bit to make it more clear. Like, hey, if you want to submit this anonymously, no problem, but you're not going to get credit for it on the safety dashboard and your safety scores. So the near miss page, it looks exactly the same. We moved it to the top with the same language. Again, you check the box, it's going to be anonymous, but you will not get credit for it on the safety dashboard page. So hopefully that change will at least clear up. If you're checking the box, you're understanding that you're either getting credit or not getting credit based on you check that box. Michael, anything there else that you'd like to elaborate on as far as that change?
Yeah, so you know, I want to give credit. This came actually from one of our crews outside of Springfield here. They had watching their safety score. It was heading in a direction that it wasn't what they wanted it to be. They were being proactive in entering safety observations. And what was happening is they saw that the score wasn't changing. And they were just convinced, you know, this employee said they turned one in and this employee said they turned one in. Well, once they started looking into what was happening, they were clicking the anonymous button at the bottom. And again, not intentionally not even wanting to make it anonymous. They just, as they went through, oh, I need to click that too, right? And so out of that request, just you know, was, hey, could we make this maybe a little bit more obvious? So again, Tommy, thank you for taking this kind of a lead on this, and I appreciate. I think this worked better for us. So, but we're curious about what you guys think. I think we got maybe a pop-up question on this one, maybe, Tommy.
Yep, should be coming through here pretty quick.
All right, if you guys wouldn't mind just helping us out and answer a question there, be great for us. If you feel like this is a little bit easier to understand, because that's again what we were intending. We just want to make sure we always listen well, and sometimes that's hard, right? But make sure that we're doing the things that helps out with understanding. All right.
Okay, I also have the second thing. So as we're kind of nearing the end of our training year, we want to make sure that we point out a feature to you guys just to make sure our supervisors a reminder that it's there. So in the license and training tab, we're going to navigate in there and we're going to go over to training courses. And what we're going to do is the system actually will total up and tell you how many training hours you or your employees have. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I only see my own scores because I'm a supervisor. Oop, spell my name right. So now we're looking at me. So in the customized columns, so again, supervisors, under customized columns, you can get your FY25 credit hours. You drag that column out here, and I just set it next to my existing credit hours. And what that'll do is that'll total up how many total hours have been completed this. I'm going to use the safety training year. And so I have 7.17 hours completed towards so I've exceeded my 40-hour requirement. And that column is not there by default, but all you have to do is just open up your customized columns and pull those hours, pull that column in, drop it in the grid wherever you want it, and that'll tally up that. You don't have to sit there and try to count that up for yourself or your employees. So it's a really neat little thing. Again, it's not always there by default, but you can pull it in, and it's not needed, but just checking throughout the year, make sure Just sure makes it easier on yourself. You don't have to do all the math. So just a pretty slick little way. Just wanted to make sure, give everybody, if you didn't know it, it is there. If you did know it, just a reminder that it's there. It should make your life a lot easier. Michael, anything else there you want to elaborate on?
Yeah, just this is one of those things again when you come to the page, as Tommy was saying, it's not there automatically. We tend to get emails from HRED that'll say, supervisor, this is how many hours. Nothing wrong with that at all, right? But here is a mechanism within this page that shows, and uh, the value of looking sometimes underneath that customized columns. There's a lot of things under there that will add some things to your page. So we've got another pop-up question. I think we're going to lean here. Hey, Ryan, we can show that to you again. Yeah. Tommy, would you mind kind of demonstrating that one more time, how you did that to add that customized column there?
So just let me jump back out. I'll kind of get back out to the home page. And so under our ladder license and leave module, we're going to go to our license and training tab. Okay, I think I'm back maybe. Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's always when we do stuff live, right? You never
right,
know what's
exactly.
happening.
There we go. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a search on myself. So I only get my hours since I have other people. So we dumped over to the training course tab. Once we're in here, I'm going to search on myself. Now that I have my name loaded, I'm going to do the search and then customize columns. We have 4 extra things there that are not there by default. So I'm just going to drag my FY25 credit hours into my grid, close that out if that's all I need. And then right here, it's tallied up that I have 47.17 training hours completed for my fiscal year / training year.
So just want to mention real quickly, just about every one of the grids that we have in MMS has that customized columns button. So if there's some stuff that you're not seeing that you think you want to, check that customized columns. It's always tricky because there's only so much real estate on a page. So we have to try to figure out, well, what's the most critical and the most commonly used thing? For this case, the credit hours is probably not common until towards the end of the year. So we have to use that as a customized column to be able to add it in. So that's why it's in that customized columns, just for space. But keep that in mind. There's a lot of good columns that we just don't have room to put in. So check that out sometime.
Yeah, good point, Randall. And it simply is a drag and drop. If I don't want that column there anymore, I just grab it, drop it back into the customized columns, and I can go on. If I want to add something again, I just grab 25, click and hold, and drag it out and drop it wherever I want it to be. So it's pretty simple to use those customized columns. But like Randall said, most of the grids have something in there that may be of use to you. And so all you do is just pop that open and pull it over into your grid. All right.
All right. So I think we're leaning to
Thanks,
another
Michael.
pop-up question here.
Yeah, you have to
Tommy.
give me a second. I'll work on
You
it.
bet. You bet. In the spring meetings, the movers team has got some slides talking about movers, the system, just going in and looking at information in there. They asked if MMS could kind of highlight how we display training information, and very similar to what Tommy was showing there, that ladder license leave page of how do you go in and you can see that particular information, just like Tommy was showing. So our question really is, we've done a lot of effort to try and give a mechanism by which our employees and supervisors, you really have that ability to come in here and they can see things. So your employees, can come to the same spot. They see all of their stuff. But so what we're questioning about is that, do you feel like it's being used in using MMS to help see this training record? We have no problem you're using movers, right? Movers is the system that holds it all. We just try to figure out, are we doing the right thing? Are we putting efforts where we should? Are you using both, which that might be the best way? Nope, I don't use ladder license, training there at all. So just helps us understand kind of the level that of use it's getting or not. It was really helpful to us. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I
I
appreciate
didn't
that.
word that question right. Answer this one, because I didn't get the right questions. So this last poll will be the correct. Are you using MMS? Are you using movers? Are you using both?
There you go. All right. See, I put these guys, they're doing this on the fly, guys, right? They're trying to keep up with me. All right. I see a lot. That's exactly kind of what that's what we were hoping. There is a combination of both, because definitely you're assigning people over in movers to take courses. That makes sense why you would be over there for sure. Got about a third saying MMS only, so that's another good one. If you guys have some ideas, right, to let us know. As I'm sharing my screen with you, this required training report, the top right, we brought that out about 2 months ago so that any employee, an intermediate, a senior, a crew leader, a superintendent, you can all come in here and see where are you compared to what's required for your job title. That's not only for supervisors to see anymore. So every employee can see their own information by using that link. So, all right, good deal. So what I'm going to move to a little bit of things about documenting. Randall's going to be helping me out here in a little bit. And so I want to just go to our homepage. We spend so much effort, you all do daily, just making sure we got good practices with documenting. And you're trying to have that ability that everyone's involved, right? You're assigning the work. You got leaders out there. You always have new people coming into leading, and they need to document how they handle it. And if you're a striping crew, I mean, there's a lot of things there in those striping crews that make sure that they pick the right stuff. So perfection is not going to be what happens every time, right? Things just happen. And so we're always trying to think through, do we need to present information differently? How can we help? How can we look at something? And one of those items recently came up, and it dealt with bridge flushing. So just to give you a visual, what I'm using this time is I'm actually coming into the work plan. The reason I'm coming there, bridge flushing is one of those kind of federalized activities. And so when I come into that work plan map, I can come and pick the year, pick the activity. So, I mean, look at that. We've had a large amount of activity happening here. And what I did was I picked the year, I picked the bridge flushing activity I wanted, and then I picked documented. Before the meeting started, I was actually displaying striping there. And you can see we're kind of almost real time work that's being done. So why do I want to highlight bridge flushing? Well, the reason is bridge flushing has, it's one of those activities that when you pick this work, it could be that when you did that bridge, like on a divided highway, you really just ran the number 1 or the number 2 lane that first day. So I'm going to have you guys use maybe just the chat here for a second. What I would be curious, what activities do you believe your crews do where realistically, when they go out today, they cannot complete that whole task? I'm using the example of bridge flushing. And the reason I'm talking about activities that have performance actuals. They go out and we're going to flush one side of the bridge today, and then tomorrow night we're going to come back and we're going to flush the other side of the bridge deck. Okay. So some of you guys, if you wouldn't mind, if just in the chat there, what are some other activities you feel like are similar to that? It takes, before that whole activity, that performance actual is completely finished, you're going to be in that same area a couple of times. So, Danny suggested mowing. very possible. You're looking at particularly our fall mowing, or maybe even mowing the interstate, right? Maybe we went down and we mowed on the outside and we come back, we mow the median, spray. Matt's got there. Spraying could be a good example again. Now, the thing about spraying is a little different. We don't have PAs on spraying, right? And that's where I'm going to take you guys to. Edge rutting could be very similar. We did just one side and not the other. So with this bridge, what I want to show you is that when you picked your bridges, you've done your, if there was material, and then the next page is going to be your PAs. I had one of the supervisors reach out to us the other day, said the PAs were zeroed. Likely where that's coming from, every lead on a PA activity is always going to be asked, are you supposed to report this? This is trying to really hone in about, are you really supposed to be doing PAs or not? Sometimes we shouldn't be, right? Ryan suggests sweeping. That's a good example, right? Maybe we swept one side of the barrier and now we're going to sweep in the other side. So I'm going to say yes. I am responsible for bridge flushing. So I need you guys to kind of tell me what you think. How should we handle this? I went out and I flushed these two bridges on 65 south of Springfield, but I only did the driving lane. Okay. So as a lead, how would you handle the PAs? What should you do here the first day? And then my backup question is, how should you handle it the second day when you finish it? I think there's two answers. So someone want to maybe just give me what they think? Unmic, tell me how would you guide your crew to handle this? They can only do one lane, and then the next day they're going to come, they're going to do the other lane, and then it's finished. What guidance would you all give?
Split your square footage between the 2 days.
Bill, I think that's a great option, right? Split it in two. So in this example here, if I'm being fair, right, that first bridge is 8753. The second one is 11454. Get a calculator out, divide it by 2. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. What could there be another option?
Could they just not put any performance actuals in on the first day and put them all in on the second day?
That would be nothing wrong with that one, Norm. And the reason that might be helpful is if I think about, I want to do my PAs once I'm finished. Now being careful, right? Guys, there's some activities we start and we never finish, right? Y'all's worlds could be crazy. You probably feel like that's almost everything sometimes. But if we know we're flushing tonight and then we're going to finish it tomorrow, I like the idea of cutting this in half. I could make this 4,000, you know. I as a lead, I need to kind of keep up with what I did that first night. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But another option could be, I'm going to say 0 because the bridge deck really isn't finished. And then tomorrow, when I finish that other lane and the bridge deck's finished, I'm going to do the whole quantity. Guys, you all have the flexibility. We just want you to have the conversations, right, in advance with those leads, because you're not the one that's going to be out there documenting this. You know, what works best for them. Okay. What we don't want. An example that came across was, well, this wasn't working really well. And so instead, the second day, so the first day, they just did the whole quantity. And the second day, they just didn't pick a bridge. I mean, they put in like their building number or something. Okay. Guys, we all can do things that maybe aren't the best. I'm not nothing against them, but please, with your lead people, as you go through different things, those people are constantly changing. The first thing you always want them to know, we always pick the thing we worked on. You pick the sign, you pick the bridge, you pick the roadway, always, right? Buildings need to hardly ever be picked. We're working out there, we're doing something. We pick the signal. You pick the roadway you're striping on, right? Hardly ever should we be WGs. And then report what we did. All right. So any thoughts there, questions?
Yes,
Does that
Michael, I
sound good?
I
Yeah.
would like, I would like to add that
Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
keep in mind that bridge flushing, with it being a federalized activity, is always something that at some point we may be audited. And so we have to keep a clear mind of that. If we're audited, we want it to be a clear picture of the work that we did, where we did it, and how much did we do. And so if it makes more sense to do it when we complete the work on that very last day, does that make more sense that if we got audited, or if you were looking back at it and checking it out, what makes more sense? So keep that in
Yeah.
mind on any
Yep.
of these federalized activities, that if we were to ever be audited, how would we want to be able to look back and see all the progress that we made? And does it make sense that we did this on this day, this much, and we have all the documentation we need?
Yeah, I think it's great, Sheree. And, when I think about it, Sheree, another good one, there's bridge sealing, right? Federalized activity. Often you might do half a bridge at a time. Again, I think the piece we want y'all to do is please have the conversation with your lead people before they ever get there. Best practice probably is dividing by two, but have that conversation, right? The reality that you guys think through is that, well, you know what? We might not get back. And I think that's a good point Sheree brings up. If you don't know you're going to finish it the next night, then there probably is far more accuracy to at least give credit to what you did. But no, thank you guys. I think that's a great discussion there. All right. So, Randall, I think we're wanting to move a little bit into a discussion on chip sealing. We've got a few minutes. We're going to do this. We'll soon be kind of transitioning here to a little bit about our assigning work discussion. But Randall, help us a little bit. This is going to be kind of a tie several things together in a planning work, documenting work, multiple crews. Tell us what you think, Randall.
Yeah, so thanks, Michael. So let's look at seal coating here. And as Michael said, kind of how's the plan tie into what you document, and then reviewing what all you've done throughout the year and kind of keeping track and making sure that everything's documented properly. So we wanted to look at seal coating because there's several orgs typically work together and lay out how that all works. And we picked this Route D in Jasper County. When we first looked at it, said, man, that looks like they're doing a good job, and it's a good example. And it just keeps getting deeper and deeper and works to an excellent example. So as I go through this, you'll see what I'm talking about. First off, we're in work plan progress, and we're looking for the Southwest District, and I've got it filtered down to this Route D. So you'll notice the first big difference is this Carthage row here is just normal text, not highlighted or anything. That's because they're the one that created the plan. So they have the material estimated and the performance targets estimated. And all these other rows, they are supporting facilities. So that's why they're in a bold and a colored text, is to kind of let us know they didn't plan to work on that route. However, they did work on that route. And that's perfectly fine. They don't have to put that in the plan. So let's go through these row by row. I actually want to skip the material because that's a little bit longer conversation we're going to come back to in just a minute. But the performance targets, they estimated that they were going to do 14 miles, and the performance actuals, they actually did 13.7. Really good job. Want to call out that all of the supporting buildings, like Michael was showing earlier, zeroed out their performance actuals. So they've got 0. It was exactly how they were supposed to do it. So let's go back to the materials. They estimated $86,000 in material. They documented 10,000, and so that means 75,000 left. So at first glance, my thought was, well, they've probably got in some liquid asphalt, ordered it in bulk, didn't put it through inventory, so they didn't charge other expenses. So I was going to use this as an example of make sure if you're ordering that stuff and it doesn't go into your inventory, you charge your other expenses so it is documented here. And it works out for this page, it works out for the budget and everything else. But as I got to digging into it, they did document their materials. And I called the superintendent and we kind of talked through it a little bit. He's like, yeah, I was looking at my budget page, which is great. And he said, I was wondering, my budget's not all lining up exactly. And this material, this commodity code wasn't in the org's option. So they were having a hard time getting it entered. And what we found, and of course it timed out on me, but what we found is it zeroed out their total cost. So even though it went through, it's got a zero cost. So first I thought that the user had done that, which I haven't even told the superintendent this, but it's probably something going on with financial services. So I kind of go through all this to say, you may be doing everything correctly, but sometimes there's some hiccups and stuff between how stuff gets put in inventory, charged out, and all that stuff. And that's why we need to go back, look at these numbers, make sure it's all working, going properly. Make sure the superintendent was looking at his budget and he was starting to throw up some red flags of, hey, it looks like something's not getting charged right. So go through that process. Do the planning, do the documenting, make sure you're zeroing PAs, you're charging materials, everything's like it's supposed to, and then kind of look back on this progress, mostly supervisors, superintendents. Look through that, make sure it's right. Look at your budget, make sure all that stuff's coming off properly, because in the end, as Sheree and them was saying, when we get audited, when we start billing FHWA, we need to make sure all these numbers are really lining up and we can explain what happened. So we'll be looking into this further, but it seems like I'm picking on this group, but they did an excellent job documenting everything. It was all documented perfectly, but something went a little wrong with the material, so we need to look into getting that fixed. Michael, I went through that kind of quickly. Anything you want to add to that, or is there any questions out there for documenting and really work plan progress?
Yeah, so if you guys got some questions there, holler out or put that in chat. What we really wanted to highlight is just so many times you guys are working collectively together. I could use the example of a seal coating like this, right? Or we could use an example of a striping operation. We've got support help coming in to help us. We maybe have a big asphalt operation. We have multiple activities. We are bringing a group together, and particularly things that we've planned out. Just like we talked on the bridge flushing or bridge sealing. And we want to just be intentional as best we can. Who made the plan? Where's the material coming from? And these are good questions to have in advance. Your lead people are going to do the very best they can. They're going to do as best they can as we direct them. And hey, things are going to happen sometimes. Just like you guys holler at us, we can make corrections. We can work on stuff. But there's a pieces here that I thought was pretty cool, right? The first thing is, I don't think they did anything wrong. I mean, this unit cost came up as a zero. We can work on that, but probably something new in a warehouse. Superintendent, hey, something's not looking right on my budget. All of these things start tying together, really. And that's what the power of all of this looks like, is how do we make a plan? How do we work together? How does that all work there? So yeah, just appreciate it. We should know that we're really getting into a lot of teamwork right now, and just applaud there. And if there's things that you guys know that's coming up, you're looking into doing some of these combined work, and you feel like you want to get a little bit of advice, call the help desk. I promise you, Sheree's got a lot of experience working through these things together. We'll help out in anything there. Jess is picking all that stuff up. So just let us know if you feel like, hey, can you walk us through the process before we get there? Can we have some guidance a little bit? We'd be more than willing. Okay. All right. So what I would like to do at this point here, I think just due to time, Randall, I think what we'll do is let me just have you share just a little bit on that whole Geo tab about employee scores, and then we're going to go next to talking about some new enhancements on assigning work.
Sure. So we've had some questions here lately about looking at driver scores, because now, as everybody knows, we're using FOBs. The scores and stuff are all being kept on each individual driver. And we've had some people reach out about looking at their scores. Currently, the way you need to get your scores are to go through your supervisors. They should be providing your scores. They're going to get that from Geotab. It's all kept there, easy enough for the supervisor to filter that down and look at your score, and just have that as a bigger part of a conversation of, how am I doing, not only with my driving, but, through your engage process and everything. But getting your driver score from MMS is really not recommended. That's not where we're going with it. So contact your supervisor, ask them to pull your driving score from Geotab and get it that way as part of a bigger conversation.
All right. Thank you for that. And it's been something that's come up a few times. Right now, the direction is speak with your supervisor as an employee. Just don't know that. I mean, our direction isn't to make it available to an employee that any employee can just go see it. It's good conversation with you as a supervisor. Talk about and engage, discuss those things. If you're trouble getting to that, reach out. Each district's got a Geotab rep, but that's where we are today. Who knows what changes in the future, but that's where we are today. All right.
There's just a lot more information in Geotab that we don't display in MMS. So
yeah, there really is. All right. So I want to transition to a little bit about some stuff coming up. Okay. And so, Evan, thank you for joining us. I think he's probably pulled off the side of the road here on his way to Kansas City today. Evan and along with the whole safety group has been working through just some overall process of how does it all fit. And one of those things is the involvement of assigning work. So we're looking at making some enhancements to that. So again, Evan, if you wouldn't mind, if you could kind of give us your take on why this is important for us to be focusing on.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Good morning, everybody. Really to start us off, I think what got us in this discussion about assigning, enhancing how work is assigned is we've been looking at safety scores and how to make adjustments to that. And the discussion led us to how do we look for those leading indicators that we're doing, the proactive things that we're doing for safety. And part of that is that morning planning meeting and planning our day. And that's very important, ensuring that when we're assigning someone a role or a task or activity or equipment, that they have that required training. So why we're wanting to do these enhancements is really to get that validation that the assigned work that the employee is going to be performing, they have the training to do that. I think we can all agree that everyone needs to be properly trained on what they're assigned to do so that they can do it safely and competently. So we wanted to do this. A good example of this would be requiring that all work zones have a work zone specialist that has completed the advanced work zone training. So we recognize that not every single assignment is going to have a universal training with it. Nothing that we do exists in a monolith. So we're looking through right now to see which of those make sense. Assigning that work zone specialist is probably going to be one. If you're in a work zone, then we're assuming that you need to have, or you will have to have a work zone specialist. But also protective vehicles are widespread use, so it would make sense in certain activities and assignments that the person assigned to the protective vehicle has that protective vehicle training. Same with advanced warning and flagger. If you're assigned a flagger, you have to have flagger training. So that's what we're looking at, how to enhance this assignment of work, because it is going to be a bigger part of our pre-shift planning is the plan with it. With that, if again, to reiterate the importance of this, just because someone is flagged doesn't mean that they can't do that assignment. Everyone understands that people are training is a process, and it isn't done in one day. It could take a while to get somebody up to speed to do something safely. So there will still be that capability for supervisors to provide an explanation of why the training isn't completed, whether they're new and it just hasn't been put through movers or whatnot. That's still going to be available. And we just want this to be a tool for supervisors. There's always new supervisors churning in and out of the department, and having our newer supervisors that tool there to see who on their crew that they're assigning certain tasks or equipment or roles to, they are certain of that individual's training. I think that covers why we're wanting to do it. We're still working through the process, and it's something that is going to be coming, but just looking for any feedback from those of you that will be in and out of this and using it day to day. I think that's all I had, Michael, unless you have anything you wanted to add.
I appreciate that, Evan, and again, I appreciate the interest that that Chris Engelbrecht's put into this, Becky has, Darren has, just kind of looking into, our assigning work process. So want to highlight a few things that we're kind of working on. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Guys, Ozark loves me always picking on them, but I want to highlight this was an assignment yesterday to drainage. This is really where we want to see our assignments at. You'll notice that they got a very thorough group of equipment listed. They've got several of our roles listed. And but there's some things here we're wanting to kind of potentially move forward and address. Okay. And we're trying to figure out the right way to do this. There's about 3 or 4 things that we're trying to do in the next few months. It'll probably be late summer before they hit assigning work. The bigger things is going to be a full rewrite of assigning work. So we have a couple of items that is overarching that we want you all to be aware of. The first one is we want to still make this efficient and timely in how we assign work and how that works in the process. So one of the things about assigning work that we feel like we get the feedback, and you guys can throw some comments or just reach out to us. We feel like the majority of crews, your supervisor, crew leaders, you figure out what you're going to do. You're talking about that. You've had that morning muster discussion. You've done your stretching. You've done your RBAs. You've printed out your TAs. You've worked through all of those risk assessments. You've kind of done all that. You've finalized who's really in the trucks. And then this assigning work is kind of the formalization of giving those people roles and responsibilities. I'm not saying every building does it that way, but it seems like a majority do that. And if you don't if that's not your rhythm, shoot us, give us a call, shoot us an email, send us a note or message. We would like to know. We don't ever want to make assumptions that aren't solidified by really what's going on. So what we're looking at is when you make a assignment, and let's say we're going to come in here, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a mobile operation with striping. So I'm going to come in here, we're going to do a mobile operation with striping. Again, that's my crew today. On this page, one of the 3 things we're looking at doing is, can you tell us what kind of work zone today? Now, if you guys know, I'm going to hit cancel, jump out of this for a sec. Well, actually, let me do this a different way. As you guys know, in MMS, there's links to everything about work zones. The TAs have really had a lot of work done on those over the last several years. We want to be in lockstep with all of that process. And if you go under safety management, right there are the work zones. and you can go to those typical applications. There's all kinds of good stuff here. ADT map. You went through advanced work zone. That's how you figure out the volume of traffic. Those TAs right there, right? This is your world, and there's a decision tree. You know, what's the activity we're doing? We're going to mow, we're going to stripe. Where's the location? It's a multi-highway roadway. What's the duration? Well, it's going to be a mobile operation. It's not short. So you have this decision tree, and that puts you down to some TA, right? And so we're in a multiple lane. It's a mobile operation. It's for striping, marking, and then this is the TA, right? And there's a lot of great information. These have significantly improved over the last couple of years, but there's some things that are required, you know, different operations here. What we're looking at doing is on assigning work, can you tell me, and we think we could make it maybe just 4 specific types of a work zone. And we're kind of drawing this up. I'm not saying this is exactly where we need to end up at yet, but we're kind of in this mindset of it. It makes sense to my thick head. We're doing a mobile operation. We're closing a road. We're flagging, or there's a stationary closure. We want these to be that same kind of verbiage. We're not trying to go to the TA, right? Because there is 35 of those, and you guys have already processed that. You've already had that discussion. We believe that we're using TA 17 or TA 35S, right? But what we would do is that in this page somewhere in the process, yep, I'm using a mobile operation, okay? Now, mobile operations have different variances, absolutely, right? Some are very advanced. They require advanced warning, TMAs, but in whole, all of them require a specialist and a protective vehicle. And so what we're looking at doing is that you'll tell us the kind of work zone, and then we're going to be looking that you have picked those as roles as what we're looking at doing. You've got a lot of activities that there is no work zone. 32A, no work zone. Working in the building, no work zone. You could be working off the shoulder, you know, right beyond the shoulder, no work zone. I mean, there's multiple pieces, a lot of activities we're not doing work zones for. But we feel like what would be a simplistic, again, not trying to pick your TA because you've already done that. That was part of that role you all did in your morning muster. We're more in that, okay, now that you've done that, can you tell us which one? And then we'll roll that into your process of, I've said that, yep, a mobile operation. I picked my equipment, and now I'm into my employees. And here's my employees that's going to be doing this activity. And Mike Kiefer and Mike and Troy and so on. We've got several people involved in this operation today. And we're going to be looking for, because we said it was a mobile operation, we're going to be looking for, well, then who's the work zone specialist? We'll change that word so it matches up exactly with what this is saying. Guys, I don't want to make you sick. But that right there, right? That's what's supposed to be printed and filled out every single day. We'll match it up to exactly what that says there. And we'll say, yep, he's the work zone specialist. Okay, well, who's the protective vehicle, right? And those pieces. Now, so we're thinking about doing the work zone, connect it, stay in that concept of, can we just use, you know, those kind of mobile pieces there. So go ahead, Roy. You bet.
Hey, Mike, on that. So if we set that up like that, say you've got multiple buildings working together and they're not in your org to select, that's who's going to be that position. Are you still going to be able to go to the next page? Or is it going to say you need to assign that position before you move on, kind of like it does where it says you have to have a leader? What if it's multiple buildings?
I'm glad you brought that up, Roy, because we have multiple activities where you're going to be a support role, right? So the striping crew goes out, but they've called up a building to drive a TMA. Obviously, that support building is not going to have all of those. And so what we'll be able to do, well, what we think, again, we're still working through it, would be just, hey, I'm a support building. So I'm not going to have all of the pieces to that point, right, Roy? You could just be, all you're doing is providing the protective vehicle. Absolutely. Yeah. So there's again, there's three things. We're trying to connect with the work zone world. The second one is when you leave this page, if somebody gets tagged as an alert, okay, and I don't know that I can make something happen here let's see, maybe I can get one of these guys on advance warning, maybe. I don't know that I can even do that. But if you get an alert on someone, okay, we're gonna have it so that you'll have the ability then. So why would I move on? Kind of what Evan was saying. You know, the employee is not even in movers yet, right? You're not doing anything wrong. They've done their first week of training. It's perfectly fine. We feel like there's an example of we've done something maybe with an OJT, their OJT training. So we're working through what we feel like would be a drop down list of 4 or 5 things that would be the reason you would move on and not have or still have an alert. Guys, y'all will be a big help to us if you have some suggestions there, right? Prime example, Roy says, I'm a support building. Okay, it's exactly why you wouldn't have all those roles picked out. We want that list to be able to be your piece of why my crew moved on. You know, why is that that came up, right? And working with our training and safety group of what that looks like and on that piece there. So let us know what that looks like and what you guys think, some reasons there. We feel like there's about 3 or 4 that really make legit there of why we would do something that would not still have an alert. And then the last piece of it, there's really the 3 pieces, is that we're going to encourage to assign equipment. And so really that's just going to be looking at, you know, we want you to pick your fleet. There's activities that don't have fleets, so it's not like it's going to be required or every single thing, but kind of have that ability to do that with that. So we're working on those items, trying to work through those particular pieces and just give you guys a heads up with that, okay? And if you have some strong opinions or some strong thoughts about that, please reach out, okay? We need to kind of know what's really going on in your world and what that looks like. We're not ever trying to build something in a cavity or void here. We got one last thing we would like to demonstrate. This is new functionality. It's actually still in our development stage. Jess is going to show you a little bit of what we're doing in rewriting documenting equipment, particularly questions that come up frequently about, well, the mileage isn't right. So I'm going to have Jess kind of highlight what we've built and kind of see what you think. We'll probably ask a pop-up question on this. So Jess, let me hand it over to you here.
All right, thanks, Michael. Okay, so right now, again, this is still in development. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and we're using Talisa as an example. Right now, let's say we picked truck 9664. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And this one does have the GPS on it. Excuse me. As you can see, it looks a little bit different right now as there's a split right here into a grid. So on the left-hand side is going to be your miles, and on the right-hand side is going to be your hours. Another new feature is this correct miles and hours. If you click on this button, it will highlight what you actually need to switch. Now, as you can see, these are off. This top one is actually what the odometer is reading right now. If this is incorrect, you can fix that there, but I'm assuming that this is right. So just disregard these second ones. And then let's say that today you did 100 miles and we did it in 7 hours. Then right here, you would check the box. And we also have the feature of the top off fluids right now where you can put in your quantity used. And as a reminder that this usage will automatically be distributed across your activities. So if you use the same truck for multiple activities, it's going to go across them. You don't have to re-enter it for each one. We'll go ahead and hit save right there. And then, oh, where did we go? Oh, over here, sorry. There we go. And then right now, whenever I went back in there, the ending miles and or hours have been entered for this equipment because I've already entered it. And like I said, it will be distributed automatically across your activities. Now, this is one that it'll look like this because it has GPS on it with this grid. But if we go down to a loader right here, you'll see that it's just a little bit different because they only use the hours, not the miles. So again, this button right here, you can click it and it'll make highlight what you need to fill out. So if the odometer was 4,600 and we did it for 6 hours, and then you can save that. And then also another, let's say if you mistakenly put the loader in, you could go back into it and you could just correct out to 0, uncheck it, and then it gives you, make sure you uncheck it here, and then it would do the delete. And then it would take it off so it's not on you anymore. And Michael, is there anything else you wanted me to show with this?
No, so the main piece really was, if you open that up, is just how do I correct my miles? And we felt like if we kind of put that button there and you clicked on that correct miles and hours, we're really highlighting the only things we want you to focus on. Like Jess said, what's the ending right now? What was your usage today? And let the system reset itself for that. So I think this is our last question. I think, Tommy, we're looking at, do you think doing it this way would help? I mean, this is one of those questions we get. We're just trying to find a way to maybe make that lead you into the right answer. Yes or no? I feel like we still need to work on this one. We'll see what you guys think about that as we're trying to rewrite documenting work here.
Michael, after this is done, when completed, how long will it be, you think, if this is go forward with this?
It's going to be late fall when we move everything to production that we're rewriting. That's what we've kind of got a decision point. Can we have this that we can implement before winter hits, or will we have to wait and let winter go? A lot of things have to play in over the next few months, but we would like it's not just equipment, it's the whole package from documenting equipment, PAs, summary, and review and submit. All of that will come as one rewrite for everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hey, thank you guys for answering that. It's 9:03. We went past our time. I want to first just say thank you for everything you all do. I'll take any questions that you have. I do have one thing came up yesterday I'd like to highlight with you all on disaster training, disaster documentation. But I want to first start with, if anyone has a question, and respectfully, if you need to go on, you're perfectly fine. So any questions in the chat, anything that anyone would just like to bring up? All right. So last week, Athena Stone with our emergency response group, safety management, came out and was doing some training in St. Louis. Athena's great. I talked with her quite frequently just about what we document and how it gets her data and getting reimbursement from FEMA. There's a lot there. And so one of the questions last week coming out of St. Louis was, I think I saw a dentist there with one of our lighting crews up in St. Louis. I don't know if it was Dennis's group or one of the others, but the question was, okay, we've had a storm come through, a tornado, a windstorm, and they've done damage to our signals, or they've done damage to something, right? Whatever it might be. One of the supervisors in St. Louis, could have been whatever it was, right? So you pick stay with that restoration, right? There's a response, there's a restoration. Cherie has great stuff out there on our SharePoint site of every one of these activities. There's a lot there. But we've picked that asset. And what I did was I picked a signal here. And now what I'm going to do is we're doing some restoration work on this one. And the question kind of came up about materials. Okay. Always, please report. Again, you're dealing with whatever that is to restore that situation. This could be flooding, tornado, whatever, right? Charge those consumables. Maybe it's something you have in your inventory. You got some rock, you got signs, they've got some wire. But if it's not consumable, make sure you go down the other side. Okay, these other expenses. For our signal and lighting crews, they have a lot of components and materials that they purchase in bulk and then they use throughout the year. Okay, it's that has already been bought and it sits there on the shelf and they're going to use it. And a lot of that stuff isn't in consumable inventory. And I'll tell you, it's to the frustration of these guys, honestly. They wished it was in inventory. So what we've done, they can come in here and these are based upon kind of year bids. It's an approved list, and Dennis helps us along with some of the others of keeping this updated. But let's say they put in some of these flash relays, right? That's part of getting this work back up due to those storms. And they put in, let's say they put in 5 of them, okay? Same kind as normal. This is how they document every day when they're working on signal lighting, just like you all. But now we're doing it under this activity. If you guys will do this, at least Athena will have awareness of what you did. Now, granted, nothing is in SAM 2 for this, right? Because as you guys, hopefully, we try to, everything under other expenses all stays just MMS, right? These are your P card worlds. This is going and getting rock tickets. It's all of that purchase expenditures. This all just stays in MMS, right? You fill out expenses, you fill out material delivery acknowledgments. You handle that, and it goes to financial services. But for this signal group, this is really the only way to kind of capture that. And at least Athena would have something, right? She could go to bat and say, you know what? They really did do 5 of these. They're on a statewide contract. This is what it cost. She has it, right? At least the worst thing to do is deny us, right? They never have a problem with that, but we would have it. So please, the other example was basically the crew was out and they went and got several loads of rock, right? So do that same kind of thing. You could type in, let's say it was all some surface stone, or you could do other, and they put 100 tons in there, right? So, and estimate what that is. They're charging us $12 a ton. Ask General Services, maybe it's on your ticket, but you can put that in there, right? Now with this aggregate, that is going to go to financial services. It will end up in SAM 2, but still, this is a huge help, and it just hits all of our activities. Capture your money, capture your equipment, materials.
And Michael, may I add? So,
absolutely.
So when we're looking at these locations and we're doing restorations, or we're doing those improvements for 912, FEMA and Federal Highway, they each have a certain maximum dollar or a minimum dollar amount that we have to have in order to even be able to claim that area. So the more that we document what we actually used for these locations, the more likely we're going to hit that dollar amount of that minimum amount that FEMA or Federal Highway would have for us. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last piece on this to kind of show how we're connecting some dots. If you go into our Power BI, the big one over here, Randall has helped build this report that's underneath activity. You'll notice when you open these, they all say MMS. So this is pretty much real-time data from what you're documenting. You don't have to submit yet. So we can come in here and we can say an activity. And I want to particularly look just for an activity that deals with, let's say, flooding 9/11. So if we had some flooding just yesterday on 9/11, I can do this and I can find real time. Oh, I just cleared my activity. I can feel basically real time an estimate. And this is something that really we've struggled, we couldn't do before very fast, right? And so I can change my date range. I can make this just this week. And I really don't know, guys, that we've had any flooding yet this week. But there, that's just this last week, and this is a good estimate. That's $80,000 out the door due to time reported to flooding, and we're bringing in right there underneath material. We're bringing anything you put in there, whether that's consumable or that's other. We're going to bring it in here and give an awareness of what do we think this thing's costing? Can we get it turned over there? So another just great benefit. You guys document. We use that to help us get reimbursements. And if there's things we can do, please let us know if there's things that you're getting in those kind of classes. I shared the same exact stuff with Athena yesterday, helped her out. We tweaked a few pieces there to help. So, guys, we're here to try and make things as best as we can. And we just appreciate you guys helping us with that.
And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. The other thing is there is that disaster guidance sheet for time and expenses. So make sure you take a look at that too, especially any of you that are new as supervisors or crew leaders, and you're not quite sure, because I do know that pictures are something. Making sure that we have our invoices and that we pay them and code them accordingly. That if we're doing pipe and it's a permanent restoration, that we're coding that to 912 and not 319. All those things matter, and it helps us make the process a little simpler. So there is, under the emergency response area, there is disaster events, and I believe we also have it under a quick link under the MMS help. So under MMS, we also do have that. If you click on MMS,
I'll grab that right there.
yeah.
Let me go back over here. So there's
Yeah,
MMS.
just click on MMS, and then I believe it's we
yeah.
did have it, yeah, right there on the right-hand side. And then Michael did do a video for that too, that you might have seen. So take a look at all of that, because we do, and especially with this morning's rainfall or last night's rainfall, having some flooded areas and probably this week. So take a look at that, and if you have questions, holler.
All right. Thank you all so much for giving us your time. Please reach out to us if there's anything we can do to help. Have a great day. We'll see you.